Hi guys, it's Marcos again. I promised you some time ago to do a video specifically to take you through the ambulance business. I noticed that already we had people who developed the interest in trying to better understand the business around ambulances. Let me give you a picture here. The whole idea of ambulances, it came up as a result of two things. One was a way of diversifying our portfolio. Okay. Two, it was one of the non-core businesses that we had to bring in so that we can support our businesses as healthcare professionals. You would remember that Promedical is a multifaceted structure. It's a structure that has got everything. I always said that Promedical is in the business of health. Now, anybody in the business of health should know that health has got everything. I always tell people that health is the only game or the only business that has got everything that you can think of. Health has got building and construction, health has got law, health has got accounting, it has got IT, it has everything is there. It has got administration, it has everything. So that is why when you're involved in health, you have got to be open-minded. Health has got financial services. There's money moving around in health. Unless maybe you want to be short-sighted about it, you can just maybe look at one part of health where you just treat patients and that's it and leave the rest to other people. That's fine. But unfortunately, Promedical by design and from the onset, it has never been like that. Promedical from the onset, it was a multifaceted structure. It was a structure, a very complicated structure because of the complexity of the situation itself, the complexity of the industry, and also the complexity of the ideas that I came up with in 2019. In fact, like I always say to you guys, these ideas were not conceived 2019. These are the ideas that started with me when I started practicing medicine. I saw everything wrong in medicine, how we practice medicine. It was just wrong. Because doctors were just put aside there. In fact, even the training of doctors is so strange that they were trained somewhere in a corner, all the medical schools, they're separate from all faculties. And that is why you end up with people who do not actually understand their own business and the other people outside the medical fraternity understand their business. And that's a problem. And then I said, no, that is actually totally wrong. So Promedical, from the beginning, it had this many facets in it. However, the idea of ambulances came up as a result of understanding that one of the core business, actually the core business of Promedical is health. And therefore, not only do we need the health, the buildings where we're going to have our hospitals, our step downs, our rehab facilities, but we went on further to say we need to control the movement of money or the money flow. If you remember, I've done a lot of videos on these things, trying to make people to get up to speed to what Promedical is doing. And sometimes I get surprised when there's no understanding on how actually the ambulances came to the picture. It surprises me, honestly. And it shows that some people, probably they are not in Promedical with all their hearts. They are here because they were invited to be here, but they don't necessarily want to give it all to make Promedical a successful structure or a successful business. I'm not trying to blame people here. Please don't get me wrong. But I'm just raising this because I'm surprised that after so many years, People still don't understand the whole idea, why and how these ambulances work. But anyway, let me repeat. So the ideas came up like that. I mean, the idea of ambulances came up as a result of one, we thought that it was good to diversify our portfolio. Just like, for instance, we had looked at the insurance side of things. I'm not going to talk about that. I'll talk about that one at another time. So now, realizing the fact that we were mainly, Promedical is mainly doctor-driven structure. It was started by doctors, and we've always said it, guys, that we're in the business of health, but we welcomed other people from different disciplines. And we welcomed people from admin, from law, from everything. That is why we're together here. And by being part of Promedical, I can tell you, if you were to open your eyes widely, you'll see that even if you are not a doctor, you have got big opportunities by being part of Promedical. Because like I said, Promedical has got admin, has got finance, has got everything. It's up to you if you want to do something in Promedical. If you don't want to do something in Promedical, well, hard luck, because we cannot make you see what we are busy showing you every day over so many years. If you can't see it now, there's no way you can see it. It's difficult. But if you open your eyes widely and you'll notice, you'll see that Promedical is the best vehicle you can ever have. Because it has got opportunities for everyone. Those people who want to do administration is there. Those people who want to do accounting is there. The only thing is just you have to do is to lift up your finger and then say to Pacos, listen, I've got this idea. How can I do my business within Promedical? Not to expect Promedical to pay you. No, Promedical does not pay people. People make their money out of commission. You come up with a project or you do something and then you make your money. You charge, if maybe you charge fees, charge fees to the businesses that you are servicing, not to Promedical. Promedical is not structured like that. It was structured along the lines of entrepreneurship. But anyway, I will come back to how actually I see Promedical today and what I motivated in the meeting. For those of you who did not attend the meeting, I will send the video. I'll share the video because the meeting was recorded. And then you can see for yourself. So Promedical is this broad church, so to speak, with everybody inside. Now, to make Promedical easy, as a cooperative, we still stick to our guns that the only thing that will solve the problems, the financial problems of Promedical is to have a bank. So that one has not been abandoned. And somebody raised it in a meeting. We're still pursuing that one. I think very soon we'll be completing the process and we'll have our CFI license. But let me go to the holding company. So what Promedical did, because Promedical is just a pool of members who have got their monies, who are ready to invest should there be an opportunity that shows up. So it's a pool of these people, okay? And then to make it work better or to be able to deal with the corporate world, I did a presentation on this again. I'm repeating it. We had to set up a holding company. Now, any holding company is holding subsidiaries. So it means when you set up a holding company, the Promedical leadership is the one that will naturally become in charge of the governance of the holding company. And the subsidiary, the directors in the subsidiaries will then report to the board in the holding company. And the holding company does not do business itself, but the subsidiaries do business. That is how we structured this thing. And I said it many times, guys, but I don't know why it's still something foreign to some of the people here. So, but let me focus with one subsidiary now, which is Accident to Theatre. This Accident to Theatre, it's a company that had to be registered in order for Promedical to have ambulance business. Now, the ambulance business in South Africa is regulated by the Department of Health. It got regulated by the Department of Health. And then now, in fact, it has always been, but the regulations are a bit tight now. So you have, if you want to register an ambulance, you will have to, first of all, register with traffic department, buy the ambulance, you convert it, you do all those things. Very expensive to do one ambulance. If I can give you an example, if you want to do one ambulance, one ambulance, guys, you're talking about 800,000. Right? To convert it, to buy it, because you'll buy it probably 400,000 and you'll spend another 400,000 to make it an ambulance, including the registration, everything, right? So we bought 2 ambulances for 250,000. Okay, the third one that is Dr. Suwele added is 150,000, that's his money. But he brought it into the cooperative so that at least we can form one company. 250,000, right? But I can tell you now, go and try and do one ambulance, you'll see. If you would be able to do it. It's not easy. It took me a very long time to put together ambulances. I didn't even know how to register an ambulance. But today, it's part of my life. I can register ambulances for anybody, but it's a lot of work. Right. So now, the whole idea of ambulances was to support the doctors who are operating. We are operating. We move patients. So Promedical, by its very nature, it had to have ambulances. Even if they are non-core, because remember our core business, yes, we are in the business. As healthcare professionals, we use our hands. I always say this. We don't make money out of the buildings, but we want more patients so that we can use our hands to make more money. And so that we work in hospitals that we own. We don't move around in corridors that we don't own, that we don't even have a portion of ownership of those entities. I've said it many times. I said, the whole idea of Promedical is to own our own things. It's not to make money out of buildings. But if it comes out, it's good. It's a bonus. We always wanted that. You said, if a private hospital or hospital that we build starts giving us money over and above the money that we make through the payment from the third party, because remember, healthcare professionals are paid by the third party or the patient. If the patient cannot pay us, or maybe the patient is on some form of an insurance, or medical aid or health insurance, whatever, or WCA or road accident fund, and then those are the third parties that pay us. But the whole idea was that let us have our own pride, let us own our things. So our core business is on our hands. We are in the business of health. Some people are in the business of law, others they are in the business of accounting, others are in IT. And then all these people can benefit just by having this business that is a healthcare business growing, developing and growing, and everybody else benefits. That is my vision. That is what I saw when I thought about Promedical. So the ambulances were not there to give us a lot of money in the first place, guys. Those ambulances were to support the patient movement so that they can support the delivery of health where we actually make our money. Right. But ambulance businesses by design was not supposed to end up working at a loss like it has happened and keep borrowing money, because that's what happened. It ended up borrowing money from a Promedical account. And those loans, they are sitting there. These are the loans that I was reporting on. Some of the loans, not all. Because accident to theater never made a profit. It had always paid for its fuel, repairs, paid for the crew, members who were fetching patients from all over Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and getting them to theater. And those people who operate, they would attest to the fact that they have actually benefited quite a lot from the patients that were moved by Promedical ambulances by accident to theater. Those guys who operate, I won't mention names, but many people, they would tell you that Zamoguhle Private Hospital was actually, to a large extent, a big portion of it, the accident business was actually built by Promedical. I'm actually the doctor who introduced Road Accident Fund to Zamoguhle Private Hospital. I'm the doctor who negotiated with Ahmed Katrada to move patients to Ahmed Katrada. I'm the same doctor who negotiated with Witbank Hospital Emalahleni that we move patients there. I negotiated with hospitals in Limpopo. So this is the business of health that I'm in. Okay. So then the whole idea of ambulances, I'll repeat, and I think I'm going to repeat for the last time now, was not to make money out of ambulances, but was to make sure that the ambulances, they sustain. Right. Now, how do they sustain and, of course, support Promedical as a business in health? By supporting the doctors who are treating patients in terms of moving around patients. And to me, that was very strategic. That is a good asset, an asset that supports a business. There are many businesses that are non-core, that a lot of companies, for instance, would get involved in. For instance, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was involved. It had trucks at the beginning, but later on it decided to go into owner-driver. Coca-Cola was not making money out of the trucks. Coca-Cola was making money out of Coca-Cola, of making Coca-Cola. But the trucks were supporting Coca-Cola so that Coca-Cola can move Coke to the communities, to various places, to various communities. Okay, it's the same thing. But then Coca-Cola, like any other businesses, they decided to do away with it. With us, it was tricky because we're in the business, a very sensitive business of health, the business of health. Now, let us talk about why accident to theater, what we call ATT, why it performed badly. Okay. It performed badly, in my view. One, it was because of the regulation. The regulation said, if you run an ambulance, you need to have 3 shifts. Now, you see, guys, when I did those videos, I'm sorry just to digress a little bit. When I did the videos that I sent you with my cell phone, I was just giving you some idea, you understand? And I promised you that I'll do a video that is going to deal in details with the ambulance business. And this is the video where you must just listen because I'm dealing with details now. So that if you have ideas, your ideas must be based on information, and it's going to assist you in terms of understanding and also formulating your thoughts about what needs to be done about these ambulances. So the regulator said, if you want to own ambulances, number one, you have got to register with Department of Health. Over and above having registered with traffic, having 2 Ts. You must have 2 Ts. There's the one roadworthy, and then there's also the other one for the ambulance. Ambulance is very complex. To register an ambulance is complex. I can tell you now, I can give any one of you to try and register it. You see, you'll give up a long way. After probably about 1 year, you'll give up and realize this is not for you. I did it. And then the regulator said you must have what they call a token, a Department of Health token. How do you get a token? Department of Health has got a thick document like this that tells you the things that you need to comply with to get a Department of Health token. One of them, which is difficult. The others are easy. I can mention the others quickly for you. You need to have a wash bay. That's where, a designated place. And they come and inspect it and pass it, a wash bay. You also need to have what they call where I'll remember the name. It's a base. You need to have a base, and the wash bay can be in the base, or the wash bay can be away from the base, but not too far. There are certain kilometers that you are allowed to have a wash bay away from the base. So a base is actually a structure or a property where your ambulances stay and your crew. It's a base. We have all those things. We set up a base. We have the wash bay. It's all money to set up those things. There are inspectors that come and approve those things. And we have got to set them up, fire extinguishers, everything. And oh boy, it's a long story. And we have all those things. You must have the insurances, and you must prove that you have got an insurance, a public liability insurance, your vehicles. You know, you must have insurance for the crew members, indemnity insurance. You must have equipment. Inside there must be ECG. If you're running ALS, then you must also have a ventilator. As we decided to register initially, just looking at ILS, you must have a lot of things. But all those we had. But here the problems that we didn't have. The staff, the crew members, because Department of Health, for every shift they want 3. Right, 3. Now, and if you're running 24 hours, and of course, us, we were running 24 hours. Why? Why? Let me explain to you why. We were not responding to the scene of accident because that one is too costly. It's another animal altogether, that one. You bleed man on that one if you're not careful. The people who survive in that space is the big guns. I mean, your ER24, your Netcare, those are the guys who survive because they have got a lot of money. These guys, they are part of organizations that are listed in the stock market. The ambulance business is not a money-making business for them, but is a feeder. Is a feeder. Again, they use ambulances as a support, like I did when I looked at ambulances. I said, Promedical must have ambulances instead of putting money under the mattress. I don't like the idea of leaving money in the bank. That money is under the mattress. If you put it in the bank, it does not grow because the bank will just eat up your money. They take the money, they lend everybody, and then you don't get anything. You get a small portion if they put it under 48-hour accelerator account. You understand? So I said, no. Okay. And the ambulances are here because they are an asset, and they can, if I were to sell these ambulances now, I can tell you these ambulances can be sold for 800,000 each easily, but they were bought for 250, both of them. I'm just showing you the thinking here. You understand? Okay. So now, for one to run, like I've already said, you have got to have, now to have 3 crew members, it means at the end of the day, you need 9, right? Now, that is easy if the government did not, or Department of Health did not come in and do what it did. Because what Department of Health did then, because the shortage, because what they did, firstly, let me explain what they did. They abolished the basic life support, which is BLS, and then they abolished ILS and ALS, and then they said, all these people who want now to work as ambulance attendants in those 3 categories, they need to go to university and then do advanced certificate. I think they're also offering a diploma. I think they can also go to a degree or something like that. But at the same time, when government sent them to university, like told that they must go to university, then the government employed everyone else that was left with a starting salary of 16,000 rands and with benefits. Now already you can see accident to theater could not cope with that. I still want to see, there's no, even now, show me any ambulance operator who has got these people full-time. They're part-time. Now, when it comes to people who are working part-time with an ambulance operator, who are working for government, they must get RWAPs. Okay, as you all know. If they don't have RWAPs, it means they are doing it illegally. And a lot of companies that are still operating, especially the small companies, they are using these people illegally because they don't have RWAPs. Reason why, their managers at hospitals, in government hospitals, they refuse to give them RWAPs. So do you want to tell me that a Promedical must be involved in a work with people who are working on RWAPs, who are part-time, to move patients all over, like I told you? Do you want to tell me that Promedical should actually use people illegally? No, we said no. We said no, we can't. Because if you are in this game, you're in the game of health, that's what makes it so complex, because it has got all the implications. If you are involved in anything in health that is wrong, it can one day mean one thing, that you can wake up and not being a doctor anymore. or you wake up one day in prison. Because if you do these things and something wrong happens, ambulance gets involved in an accident with the patient inside, then they will investigate from the beginning to the end. And yeah, the heads will roll. Somebody will go to prison, or somebody will actually lose a registration with the regulator, which is with the HPCSA. Okay. So now that was a big problem that we were facing. Main problem. All the others were easy, guys. Easy peasy. Okay. But the biggest problem was that we couldn't afford these guys. Yeah. And then now, the other things were easy. Okay, the other one, that was a major problem because we were doing WCA and Road Accident Fund. We're moving mainly trauma patients, which are victims of accident, and some of them, the workmen's compensation, WCA, means those injuries on duty. Now, those two organizations are problematic in terms of payment. They take too long, and then you don't have cash flow. And if you don't have cash flow, you have got to pay fuel, you have got to pay repairs, you have got to pay the crew. Then what do? Then we started borrowing a lot of money from Promedical. So, and on the other side, Road Accident Fund to date still owes Promedical to something almost to the tune of about 1.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. I can go to the books, which we are now going to collect legally. So we're going to court very soon now with collecting that money. We are actually preparing papers with the lawyers. So I've not mentioned things of tax because of, if a company is working at a loss, then there shouldn't be any issues of tax. But if we were, then those things would kick in. Promedical would be on its own, and they would actually have to pay for all those things. But anyway, here's the thing, guys. Promedical did not make a dime, right? It actually literally lived out of borrowing money from Promedical. I mean, accident to theater, sorry. It actually survived by borrowing money from Promedical, although it has got receivables. Okay, it is owed money by a Road Accident Fund. Okay. So the biggest problem basically is actually making sure that we get that money. Now, what the question is now, what do we do? I showed you the ambulances. We have the ambulances. You know where they are, how many they are. And I've given you the picture now. I've given you the background why this business was actually set up. And then now, just to answer the issue that somebody raised, there's an issue that why the reporting was not done on accident to theater. When I was presenting the financials, there was no reason, because like you can see, what to report, what I'm gonna report on when there's no money that is made, except that maybe what is interesting is that you are hearing now for the first time that it didn't make a dime. And to a point, even the account of accident to theater, it ended up closing down because F&B, once you stay without trading, without any money coming in after some time, and they close the account. But that's not an issue. An account is nothing, you understand? Because we'll collect the money anyway. It will go into the trust account of the lawyers. It comes to accident to theater. Another account can be opened. That's not a problem. But there was no money. Okay, it was just expenses, and then end up borrowing. And then all those monies that are loaned, they are registered, they are recorded there. So we know that. And then now the question is, what do we do? What do we do? Right. Somebody suggested that maybe we can take the ambulances, put them under a certain company to give business, to get business for us, and then they're gonna run, and then we get some money. And then another one suggested that we do mobile clinics, and then with mobile clinics, and then, and all those things. Those are ideas. And then another one suggested that maybe there's a member of the cooperative, we can give the ambulances to the member of the cooperative, you know, can run them, and then Promedical can make money out of the. I don't think so. But let me tell you why. It's not as easy as that. You know, when you start businesses, guys, you must understand one thing. There are legal documents that are put down. You don't just decide tomorrow that you are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. When we started accident to theater, when we registered the company was registered first, and there were memorandum of incorporation. Memorandum of incorporation is actually a combination of memorandum of understanding and the articles of association. These days, we no longer do both, we do one, which is called a memorandum of incorporation, which actually combines the two. So it spells out why the company is formed, who is forming the company, what shape is it going to take? Is it a subsidiary under which holding company? And who are the directors, who are the shareholders? And all those things were prepared and registered under accident to theater. So we've got an entity here, which is a subsidiary of the holding company. And there are decision makers there, people who operate, who run with these things every day. But there were no major decisions to take because it was not making any money. Now we have accident to theater as a registered entity with shareholders. I told you there's Dr. Siwele, who is actually a serious shareholder there because he put in his own money on top of the money that was put by Promedical. And then at least to end up with 3 ambulances. So it's not something that you wake up in the morning and decide you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And besides, it's not that we don't. Okay, let me put it this way. Let us say we identify the problem. What is the problem? The problem is the salaries. So we say, oh, okay, if we give it to somebody else, that person is going to be able to actually employ people and pay them. If we take our ambulances, we give that person. I'm just, teasing your brain on this one because somebody, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It's a good idea, but let's interrogate it. Then it means we think that that person can actually run the ambulances on our behalf and give us money every month. There are big risks there. The first thing, we'll have to close the book here because this is a subsidiary. You can't just move a subsidiary to be managed elsewhere without making sure that all the books, that's the first thing, all the books are closed in the sense that now we say, are we moving it as a business or we're moving ambulances? That's a question that you'll have to answer immediately. If you move it as a business, there are implications. There are legal documents that go in there because one of the things that you don't want to hear is that the ambulances have disappeared or evaporated the following day. And the other thing, there are management fees. There are a lot of complicated service level agreements that you enter into. And you may not actually even see a dime for that matter because if the operational costs are high, the guy who's managing whatever is managing for you, he just deducts operational costs and then he tells you, you're still owing him. What do we do? And do you have oversight? Can you see? Do you know what the ambulances are doing every day? Where do they go? How many kilometers they travel? You need systems for that. Who pays for the systems? You have got to pay for the systems because these systems are expensive. We had these systems. The ones that monitor an ambulance as it's moving. We could tell you every time where the ambulance was actually was running. We could tell you at any point in time. We could tell you when it's stationary. We could tell you when it's moving. We can even tell you at what kilometers per hour is it driving. That's how sophisticated we were when we were running this thing. Who pays for the insurances? They understand. So it's not as easy as that. And also taking into account that it's a non-core, it's a support business. It's a business that is supposed to support Promedical as we're delivering health. It was not for us to actually make money out of it. It was to support so that we can make money out of what we know best. But anyway, let us just for a while stay with that one and entertain the idea that says maybe we outsource that. There is all those implications are there. What happens if there's an accident? Whose fault is it? So there must be all these agreements, these things, that are in place, and there are repairs. There's so many things. I can tell you, the costs in running an ambulance, they are very high. So I don't think so. I don't think that would actually wash, trying to take them somewhere. In fact, it can be very risky. And also, the fact that this is a subsidiary of a holding company of Promedical, it means we need to find a solution within. And it must be a solution that is sustainable. It's something that we can explain even tomorrow and sleep well after having made a decision of that nature. Okay, so the options that I thought of, I'm going to run them down now that at least we know that Promedical, accident to theater is actually a non-core. Okay. But here's the problem is that the ambulances are parked. Okay. So the question is, what do we do then? Okay. Now, as a person who has started a lot of businesses, some of them made success, some of them took a nosedive, I already know what to do. As soon as you have got a business of that nature, you already know what to do, how to respond to a problem like that. But of course, you first ask yourself a question. What is the core business of Promedical as we speak now? I made a suggestion in the meeting that we had just recently on the 18th. I said, guys, my thinking is that we need a turnaround strategy. We need to now go into another model of a Promedical business accelerator. Now, once we do that, yes, we're still in the business of health as professionals, but Promedical becomes a business accelerator. Cooperatives, model still stays. People are members. But I said, if we can turn around the strategy, the first prize would be to say, we cannot go on doing business the way we do business. We have got to do it differently to accelerate the growth of Promedical as a business. So then that immediately calls for something immediately that, no, maybe there is a possibility that we can actually dispose these assets. We can actually sell them at a profit. Now, because the reason why you sell them, one, is because they are parked. Two, is too risky to take any other decision except that one. Because if you give them to somebody who are not going to make a dime, I can guarantee you. And if, let's say, the cooperative were to actually take this matter to a vote, and we can vote on it, I would vote against it. But of course, because the cooperative works on a one-man, one vote, if I get defeated on a vote, it's fine. I'll accept the defeat, and then I will then take it to whoever, the service provider that can actually operate it. I have no issues with that. Okay, I have no issues with that. But that will be the set day, because I know that we'll never make a dime. In fact, you're probably facing a situation where we could have them rotting there, and they would regret because we could have sold them at a profit. So I think the first thing that I'm suggesting is that we get rid of these ambulances, we sell them. There are buyers that already I'm thinking about, that I know that are going to buy outside the country, because in the country right now the regulation is too steep. Probably won't make good money, but in other African countries we can. Now, what do we do with that money? I think we need to turn around Promedical. Promedical at this point, I think what we need to do is to actually start accelerating the payout of those people who want to exit. In fact, in my view, I think Promedical needs to move to a stage where it specializes as a business accelerator. I'll unpack what a business accelerator is. But we need first to pay out people who have put in their monies with interest. If people get their monies with interest, people will be encouraged when they are invited tomorrow to invest in Promedical, because they will be knowing that they can get their money and they get their money on time. Now, when we talk about the business accelerator, Promedical taking the model of a business accelerator, it means Promedical will then be able to actually borrow money to people who want to start businesses. It means it can fund, and not only that, it can provide mentorship. And then Promedical would be able to provide the business systems, which we have, the business systems, right, of operating the business, and then provide market research, marketing, brand development, right? And in return, then Promedical takes a profit split, not shares, profit split, because we want to lock in the money, and then we'll buy our own assets. We don't want to keep having shares or our assets in the form of shares outside. We will decide, as we diversify our portfolio, to decide to say, okay, fine, there are well-run companies that we can invest in, even if we are not the funders or the mentors who are not providing any solutions, but at least we're investing in those companies because they are the blue chip companies. Then that is diversification of the portfolio. And at times we can diversify the portfolio by investing in real estate, commodities, and so forth. Okay, but that is what I'm saying, that we need a turnaround strategy, and we need to do that strategy, implement it very fast, because it's a long time now we're not making good money, and this is the time to make money. And I can see now, if we focus on business accelerator work, Promedical is going to start making money. Okay, and then we can get into property development easily overnight, because Promedical is more than 3 years now, and it has got a very good banking account. The only thing is the subsidiary issues, okay, but which I know how to navigate that one, because every time you go in and get involved in a project, you would need to register a particular company, and then usually you find that the company does not have the trading history, and then of course it does not have the financials. But on the basis of the financials of Promedical, at least we can be able to push certain things. Okay, so that's my suggestion. I don't see any other way. I see one way that we have got to dispose this, and then from there we pay out the members who have contributed, especially those who want to exit. But my suggestion would be, it would be nice just to pay out people with interest, and then keep people on the database as members of Promedical, all right? And then as and when Promedical, for instance, has got a project, and then in that project, and then we invite people to come in and invest, they can actually borrow Promedical, borrow money for over a certain period of time. And then, of course, it means Promedical needs to have reserves, so that at least if a person wants to exit, he can be able to exit, even if Promedical is still stuck in the project at that time. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm still going to do a video on a business accelerator, but I just want to say, to turn around this ship, guys, I think we need to be sober-minded here, and then we need to work together here, and then we need to understand that this is not just a voluntary association, you know, people just coming to Promedical as like in associations. This is a business, so we need to start making some money. If we don't make money, you change the way you do things. This is not a church, okay? So that's why I dealt with outsourcing, how complex it can be, with all the legal implications of it and financial implications and so forth. I won't repeat that one. So just to emphasize the point, my approach, I think that's my first prices that we sell. The second one, the second option that I had in mind was, if, for instance, we were to strengthen Promedical doctors online, or Promedical doctors' businesses, yeah, probably would need ambulances. But the thing is, to run them, it's a problem. It's a nightmare. And you can't put in people who are not registered inside there, or people who are not compliant, or people who are violating some rules. You can't. You need people with ROAPs. You need people, and you can't run on part-time people as well, because patients move all the time. So it's a non-starter. You need people who are going to be full-time, and at this moment, we cannot afford them. Period. So the best is just to sell. That's a way of emphasizing. I heard somebody suggesting that maybe we give ambulances to one of the members of cooperative, because he was introduced to them. It's fine, I understand that. I'm the one who introduced to him anyway. But anyway, the thing is, once you do that, like I've already said, it's so complex, and I don't even think that that person that you're suggesting, who is a member of the cooperative, would actually easily accept that, because he knows the implications. There are serious financial implications there, and legal implications. It's very complex, in fact. I think I've covered that. Let me not repeat it. You understand? Unless maybe, if you feel, you can always, instead of maybe exchanging WhatsApps. I don't like exchanging WhatsApps. I don't work with WhatsApps when I discuss business. I don't like them, because sometimes we don't understand each other. Somebody says something, wants to respond, this one wants to, so I don't like that. I think maybe the best thing we can do is just to have a meeting. Let's have a debate about it. Let's have a meeting, and it's sad that every time I call these meetings and people don't come. And then, and because they're in a meeting, that's a chance where you can actually ask these questions and then you get the answers. But if people don't come to meetings, it's fine. But I know some of the people genuinely, they apologize because they had some commitment somewhere. But if you want us to have a constructive debate, let us have a constructive discussion. Let us have a meeting, and then I'll organize one. You just WhatsApp me and tell me that you are available on such and such a day. Then I'll invite other people, and then we debate the whole thing. Okay. So in summary, guys, I think that selling the ambulances would be the best thing that we could do. All right. And then what am I leaving? I think yeah. That would be the best thing to do. I can't think of any other thing that I need to say, except that, yeah, maybe let me say this. I know it's part of the video that I'm going to do on a business accelerator. When we say Promedical needs to change the model, it means Promedical should actually stop operating businesses. That's the first thing. That's very, very important in the whole turnaround strategy. Promedical itself should focus on those things that I've mentioned. It should focus on a fundraising. It must be good on fundraising. And I'm going to explain how we do that, because I have all those things arranged, they are set up. In fact, I'm doing a pilot project now on a business accelerator on 2 companies. And it looks like everything is going to go well. And I want to take the same model and implement it on Promedical as a business accelerator. So Promedical, one, should be able to make sure that it can fundraise, it can raise funds for a business. We have the infrastructure for that. I can explain it if you want to know, but I did explain in the meeting that we had. 2, it must provide mentorship. 3, it must provide business systems, and businesses that we provide. All these things, guys, remember, they're not coming for free. Okay. All right. They're not coming for free. There's commission on fundraising, because you just talk to the institution, it brings in the money, and then we take our small portion, and then the business gets funded, and the business takes off the ground. And then issues of mentorship, there are fees for that, but there's a global fee usually going up to about 10%. Okay, on mentorship, systems, and all those things that we provide for a business. Okay. And now it means a split, not shares. And I'll explain this thing if maybe you don't understand why and how does it work. Okay. So now you find us now in a situation where we don't have to run businesses. And if we don't run business, who's going to run businesses? Businesses must be run by the business owner. The one who says he knows the business is the one who must run with the business. Okay. The one who says he knows it is the one who must run with it. And then we provide all the other things. But he must actually take the risk. Okay. And he must know the risk. And then we know already how to actually assess people who can fly, that we know that these ones can actually fly. So what I'm trying to say is that in this turnaround strategy, we're envisaging a situation where Promedical is not operational, at least to maybe to some extent. Where I see Promedical should focus, actually not even to some extent, it should focus on moving money around. Okay. It's becoming a financial institution, but that offers all the other things that I've mentioned. So we play with money, we deal with money. That is where we should be sitting. Now, and dealing with money is the nice thing, because everybody, money is one of those things that are in demand all over, everywhere you go. It's a highly demanded thing. So that there's nobody who does not demand money on a daily basis. Money is actually in demand. So once you are in that space, you know that it's a question of actually managing how you do the business. And if you focus on the business of man, the business of man, and then it's actually one of the easiest things to do than to be running around there with ambulances and manufacturing of this and then that and that. It's difficult. The thing is the things that I think at least we should keep, in my view, which I think we should keep, because to make signs and all those things, that's part of brand development, marketing and brand development. We can still keep those machines. I don't see a problem with those. They didn't cost us a lot of money. You understand? So about 75,000 rands, those ones we keep. It's not a problem. But for those vehicles, they must go. That's my thinking. But we can have a meeting and debate the matter if you so wish. I just wanted to give you a full background, how the whole thing actually was started, how does it work, and so forth, and what I think we should do. And then I'm going to do another video on a Promedical business accelerator, okay, as a turnaround strategy. And I'm going to detail that one. Probably that's where you're going to hear certain names like Aspire, MinCap. Those are the financial institutions that we're dealing with. As for, just to give you some report back, as for the company I was telling you about that got me salivating, said they wanted us to Promedical to get licenses for the hospitals. I'm still waiting. I'll hear from them. Whether they come or they don't come, it's not an issue for me. And then I'll take it as it comes. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for watching the video. And please listen to the other video that I'm going to send on a Promedical Business Accelerator. It's going to help you to know how Promedical Business Accelerator is going to work. Maybe we might benefit immediately in terms of getting assistance from Promedical Business Accelerator. But one of the things I can tell you, it's not going to be too quick, because we have to formalize it as a subsidiary. It must be formalized as a subsidiary. So there's a bit of a registration that must happen. And then I'll announce what once it has been registered. And then we need to pilot, okay? And then once we pilot, and then we can get everybody on board who wants to be part of the business, whether at a director level, shareholders level. But on directors, of course, directors are employees of a business, and then it must be people who are competent, who know what they are doing. And then the shareholders, of course, people will just put down their money. But the best approach is that of taking loans from people. People loan the subsidiary or they loan business accelerator, and then they get their money over after a predetermined time. So it means it's a predetermined interest over a certain time, and then that's it. You get your money. This idea of shares, I think I've come to look at it differently. That it's better if you get your money within a certain period of time. You say, Promedical, I'm borrowing you 10,000 rands. I want an interest, you negotiate an interest of 6% over a period of 5 months. Promedical accepts, yes, and then sign the document, that's it. At the end of that 5 months, and then you get your principal plus interest. I think that's the model that we will be looking at. But you'll hear more about that when I'm doing a video, where I'll be discussing Promedical Business Accelerator. Okay, thanks very much, guys, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and bye-bye.